Look closely at the screen. Do not just glance at it. Really study the intricate structure of this Ixora plant. Observe the way the light catches the waxy surface of the leaves. Notice how the clusters of vibrant pink florets do not exist in isolation. They are not random accidents of nature. They are the deliberate result of a complex, silent underground system working in perfect unison. In the natural world, nothing blooms instantly. There is no such thing as sudden stability. The beauty you see here, the swaying in the wind, the vivid color, the apparent effortlessness of its existence, is merely the final expression of a long, disciplined process of accumulation and resilience. It is a biological compounding effect. Wealth operates by the exact same laws of physics and biology. Most people look at a multi-millionaire and they see only the bloom. They see the luxury cars, the sprawling estates, the freedom to travel, the absence of worry. They see the result. They miss the root system. They miss the aggressive pruning that took place years ago. They miss the years of enduring the wind and the rain. Today, we're going to deconstruct the biology of high net worth individuals. We are going to analyze 5 specific foundational moves, financial adaptations, that allow for this kind of perennial growth. These are not get-rich-quick schemes. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. These are the laws of financial botany that I used to build a multi-million-dollar net worth before the age of 30. If you can understand the ecosystem of this plant, you can understand the ecosystem of wealth. The first principle is the creation of a root system. In the world of finance, we call this the emergency fund. When you look at these green leaves on the screen, they appear calm. They absorb the sunlight, unbothered. But the environment they live in is chaotic. Storms come without warning. Droughts happen, the soil composition changes. A plant without deep established roots is torn from the earth the moment the wind changes direction. It has no anchor. In your life, the wind will change. It is not a matter of if, but when. You will face unexpected job loss. You will face sudden medical emergencies that insurance refuses to cover. You will face global macro events like the ones we saw in 2020, which shut down entire industries overnight. If you do not have a reservoir of liquidity, specifically 3 to 6 months of living expenses stored in a liquid high-yield savings account, you are structurally vulnerable. You are living on the surface. Without this root system, when a crisis hits, you are forced to borrow from your future to pay for your present. You are forced to dig into high-interest credit card debt just to survive the month. That is the biological equivalent of a plant eating its own roots to stay alive. It is a regression that takes years, sometimes decades, to recover from. I built this reservoir early in my 20s. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't flashy. It didn't make for good dinner party conversation. It sat there, unseen, like the roots beneath the soil. But it acted as an impenetrable insurance policy against catastrophe, ensuring that no temporary storm could bankrupt my future. It gave me the psychological clearance to take risks elsewhere, because I knew my foundation was solid. The second principle involves the intake of nutrients. In our modern economy, this nutrient is represented by credit. There is a misconception among young investors. Many view credit cards as poison, a trap designed by banks to enslave you. Conversely, others view it as free abundance, a way to extend their lifestyle beyond their income. Both views are incorrect. Credit is fertilizer. Applied correctly and in the right amounts, it accelerates growth significantly. Applied recklessly, it burns the crop and destroys the soil. I utilized credit cards, but I treated them with a surgeon's precision. I viewed the bank not as an enemy, but as a tool. The rule I established was simple yet absolute. Never utilize more than 20 to 30% of your available limit, and pay the balance in full every single month. By doing this, you are effectively communicating with the financial algorithms. You are not borrowing. You are demonstrating reliability. You are building a credit history. This score is your reputation in the marketplace. It is your digital character. A high credit score unlocks the gates to capital. It grants you lower interest rates on real estate. It provides leverage for business loans, and it gives you access to premium assets that are gated off from the rest of the population. I used the bank's money to build my credibility, positioning myself for the major acquisitions that would come later. I didn't fear the tool. I mastered it. I understood that in a fiat currency system, cheap debt is a powerful lever, but only if your reputation is pristine. Now, observe the movement of the leaves again. They are constantly adjusting, seeking light, converting energy into mass. This brings us to the third and perhaps most critical principle, the imperative of growth or investing. Now, observe the movement of the leaves again. They are constantly adjusting, seeking light, converting energy into mass. This brings us to the third and perhaps most critical principle, the imperative of growth or investing. There is a silent force of decay in the economy called inflation. It is the entropy of money. It is the weeds that choke the garden. If you leave your capital stagnant in a standard checking account, it is slowly dying. It is eroding. The government prints currency, increasing the supply, which dilutes the value of every single dollar you hold in your hand. To visualize the severity of this decay, consider the historical data. In the year 1900, the average American home cost roughly $5,000. $5,000. In 2025, that same asset, the same piles of wood and brick, requires over $417,000. The house hasn't changed, the money has weakened. The currency has lost its energy. To fight this decay, you cannot just save. You must plant your capital in soil that yields a harvest. You must become an investor. I realized early on that my labor alone would never be enough. I studied. I consumed books. I listened to podcasts. And I absorbed the wisdom of those wealthier than me. I began by planting seeds in the S&P 500, broad index funds that track the top 500 publicly traded companies in America. I bought tickers like VOE, SPY, and VTI. These assets historically generate 8 to 10% returns annually. They outpace the decay of inflation. They photosynthesize the economic activity of the nation into personal wealth. This is the fundamental difference between a stone and a seed. A stone sits in the garden and erodes into sand. A seed uses the environment to multiply itself. In your 20s, your primary objective is to convert your cash from stones into seeds. As Warren Buffett, the greatest gardener of capital, once said, "The more you learn, the more you earn." Knowledge is the sunlight that drives this photosynthesis. Without it, you are just guessing. The fourth principle is the art of pruning. In horticulture, a master gardener will often cut back the most showy, extravagant branches to direct energy into the core of the plant. This strengthens the trunk. It ensures longevity. In personal finance, we call this living beneath your means. This is often the most difficult discipline to master because it requires suppressing the ego. It requires delaying gratification. When young professionals land their first high-paying role, the biological temptation is to bloom prematurely. They want to signal their success to the tribe. They buy the luxury watch. They lease the German performance car. They move into the penthouse apartment in the city center. They extend their branches so far out that their shallow, immature roots cannot support the weight. I saw my peers flying to Europe, partying in Croatia, and driving new cars, and I asked myself, how? The answer was debt. They were financing a facade. They looked rich, but they were structurally poor. I chose strategic austerity. I made the unpopular decision to briefly move back in with my parents. I drove a reliable, used vehicle that didn't turn heads. I sacrificed the appearance of wealth for the actual accumulation of it. By saving that extra $10,000 to $30,000 a year on rent and lifestyle costs, I had significantly more capital to funnel into my investments and my business. I was pruning the decorative branches to feed the root system. It is not about deprivation. It is about allocation. Every dollar you do not spend on a liability is a soldier you can deploy to capture an asset. It is a temporary sacrifice for a permanent freedom. The fifth principle involves the gaze of the gardener. You must track your finances with obsessive precision. A garden that is ignored is a garden that is overrun by weeds. Nature tends toward chaos. If you look away, disorder takes over. Most people live in a state of financial denial. They go weeks, sometimes months, without checking their accounts. They hope for the best, afraid of what they might find if they look too closely. I took the opposite approach. I adopted a stance of hyper-awareness. Every single day, I audited my accounts. I looked at the inflows and the outflows. I tracked every cent. When you pay this level of attention, you notice the leaks immediately. You notice the subscription you forgot to cancel. You notice the dining expenses creeping up. You notice the inefficiencies. You cannot improve what you do not measure. This daily ritual is not just about math, it is about psychology. It keeps your goals at the very forefront of your mind, preventing you from drifting into negligence. It forces you to be honest with yourself about your trajectory. And finally, a bonus principle. As your garden grows, you must protect it from the macro environment. You must understand the climate you are growing in. In finance, the climate is taxation. The government writes the tax code to incentivize certain behaviors. The government wants housing, and it wants people to be self-sufficient in old age. Therefore, if you provide housing through real estate, or if you save for your own retirement through 401ks and IRAs, the government offers you shelter from taxes. I invested heavily in tax-advantaged assets. Real estate, for instance, allows for depreciation, a phantom expense that lowers your taxable income on paper while your asset appreciates in reality. Retirement accounts allow your wealth to grow tax-deferred or tax-free, compounding without friction. This is the ultimate efficiency. It is not just about how much you grow, but how much of that growth you get to keep. By aligning my investments with the incentives written into the tax code, I was able to grow my net worth while legally slashing my tax obligations. I stopped fighting the climate and started using it to my advantage. This brings us to the present moment. The garden is established, but the climate is shifting. If you are a high-income earner, a business owner generating over $500,000, or a W-2 professional making over $400,000, you are facing a significant tax headwind. You have built the garden, but the government is demanding a larger portion of the harvest. I am hosting an exclusive tax-free wealth challenge to address this exact issue. In this intensive event, I will break down the sophisticated strategies used by ultra-high net worth families to reduce their tax bills by 50 to 100% legally. We will discuss cost segregation, bonus depreciation, and defined benefit plans. The path to a multi-million-dollar net worth is not a lottery ticket. It is not luck, it is closer to the biology of this plant before you. It requires a root system of safety, the fertilizer of credit, the growth mechanism of investing, the discipline of pruning your lifestyle, and the watchful eye of a gardener. If you can master these elements, your financial life will eventually reach a blooming season that lasts forever. You will achieve the stability and beauty that we see in this Ixora plant. Click the link below to join the challenge, and let's begin the process of true cultivation.